Well, happy Tuesday, everyone, and Merry Christmas to you. Hope everybody's having a great holiday season. Josh is Severe Weather. I'm a meteorologist in the Raleigh area, and we are going to chat about what's to come here as temperatures go on a roller coaster ride this week. And many of us who are wishing for a white Christmas may not see it, but if we wait till January, things are going to change as some much colder air and more unsettled weather is expected to develop across a lot of the United States. Now, I'm going to talk more about the shorter term first, and then we'll cover what's going to happen in January in the second part of this video. So I appreciate you joining me. Here's what we're looking at. Major snow potential here growing as we get into the second, third, fourth week of January. But right now, it doesn't look like it. In fact, we see across the globe a pretty active Pacific jet, and we have some tropical activity going on in southeastern Asia and the Indian Ocean, and some heavy rain across the southwestern Caribbean. But high pressure dominates the southeast here. It's warming up. And as this storm here in the west makes its way inland, lots of rain coming for the northwest, but even some severe weather coming over portions of the south central states, especially Texas here, both later tonight as well as the day after Christmas on Thursday. So here's that storm, and you can see active weather moving into the west. We'll get some rain in Southern California. And then we've got a piece of that trough out ahead of that that's bringing some unsettled weather here to parts of the south. And moisture will stream towards Florida, and this is not a wintry look, but that is going to change here in a few weeks. So we're going to talk about that here coming up. Temperature-wise, a chilly start here again in the northeast. Snow leaving the area, but temperatures are going to be warming back up here, and a mild Christmas for many, seasonable to above average temperatures. And you can see that warmth this morning. In parts of Texas, we're in the 60s and 70s, Florida 50s and 60s for the most part, so it is warming up, and really no major cold across the country for the time being. So not a wintry feel just yet after the cold that came down. And as a result, we have, with this building moisture, fog advisories for portions of the north central states. And with the wintry weather we had this morning, we do have advisories still for parts of the mid-Atlantic, the Mason-Dixon line area, and a winter storm warning for eastern Maine and parts of northern Vermont. But things should wind down here in time for Christmas with that fresh snow cover. Now, out west, things are going to get more active here in the coming days. We have some flood watches. Those are the green areas here in northern Cal and in the southern Central Valley. And we do have winter storm watches across the Cascades and winter storm warning over parts of the Sierra Nevada. So the west is where the snow will be coming down. We can dream about this one. I remember this outbreak. I was a young child, but we had major cold where I lived in Louisiana, single-digit temperatures, but snow down into Florida and up to 20 inches near Wilmington. That was 35 years ago today that wrapped up. We're not seeing that, though, here, and I'm sorry if I teased you all, but that's not going to happen. In fact, you can see the green replacing the blue here. That means rainier weather coming, especially right after Christmas. The west gets blasted with a multiple push of storms. Moisture climbs back into Florida, so we will see some showery weather here later in the week in Florida. That could impact some of those bowl games. And then the main storm is going to be across the central states here at the end of the week. And that will eventually slide eastward here. So this weekend will be wet. There will be some wintry mix on the onset of this system across parts of New England on Sunday into Monday. And then the next storm in the west climbs down, or drops down, I should say, into the central United States here for New Year's Eve. And this could be a pretty big snow for some of you here in the north central states. We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. After that, colder air does come in waves. It doesn't get here right away, though. We may see some of that trying to get down on the 3rd and 4th, but I think the following week is when we start to see those changes. And I'm going to talk about that here later in the video. Here's the West Coast. And this morning we have heavy rain moving through the Bay Area, heavy snow moving into the mountains. That drops down towards the LA area. We'll see some showers here this afternoon into this evening. But a bigger storm comes in here on Christmas Day to the northwest. Heavy rain for the West Coast, heavy snow for the mountains here, and that drops into California at night. And we will see some showers all the way down to the Bay Area here by daybreak on Thursday. And then that moves out. More rain comes in here at the end of the week. So it's every other day we get another storm. And you can see the possibility for heavy snow exists in the ski areas. Through the weekend, potentially up to 10 feet of snow across the mountains of the Sierra Nevada or of British Columbia. And in the Sierra Nevada, we certainly could see over 5 to 6 feet of snow. The interior west will get quite a bit of snow as well, all the way down into the Four Corners region. But the bigger problem could be rain for where most of you live in the west. And we may see amounts here by the end of the weekend, as much as 6 to 10 inches in northern Cal and southwest Oregon, 3 to 6 across the Olympic Peninsula and Vancouver Island here. So lots of rain coming over the next several days. In the central states, we see quieter weather today, just some light rain moving into the Ohio Valley. Unfortunately, no snow here. BMG, Bloomington, Indiana. I would have thought bah humbug, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, no wintry weather here yet. That may change, though, here in a few weeks. But for the time being here, we're just dealing with some cloud cover, some morning fog. And eventually, we have a more substantial storm to talk about here towards the end of the week. Here's a look at the total snow potential through the remainder of the week. It's pretty barren here, unfortunately. Aside from some light snow maybe moving into the Dakotas here early next week, there just isn't really anything to talk about. Even the Great Lakes, no lake effect snow of any note here through the weekend. Now in the Northeast, we do have our storm beginning to leave. A little bit of icy weather in Northern Virginia to keep an eye on, but that should be winding down as temperatures warm. This will move through Atlantic Canada here this afternoon, and eventually we'll see things winding down. And really not much of a chance of a white Christmas, unfortunately, here, except for what's already fallen. As we get to Christmas Day, it's quiet across the region. Thursday is quiet as well as temperatures begin to rebound. And here's a look at snow potential over the next few days. And eastern Maine, yes, we're picking up a few inches this morning, probably as much as 5 inches across far eastern Maine, as much as 8 to 10 inches across parts of Nova Scotia, maybe even a couple feet in parts of New Brunswick. But really not a lot to talk about here. New York City, a little bit of snow on the ground. Jersey, a little bit of snow on the ground, but that's it. It is going to melt away here pretty quickly over the coming days. Looking across the southeast, we do have a system sliding away from the Carolinas this morning. Sun popping back out where I am in Raleigh. No ice threat, despite what you may have seen online here. Just too warm for that. We will have showery weather across South Florida here the next couple of days, but really not a lot of rain to stress about here. This area is pretty quiet until we get towards the weekend. I do want to take you, though, to Texas, where things are expected to get a little bit more active here. Potential severe weather episodes coming. Not major ones, but ones we need to be alert for. Here's the first piece of energy tonight that slides through East Texas into Louisiana, but a bigger piece comes here on Thursday, the day after Christmas. And you can see the wind field aloft does start to increase pretty substantially here as this trough digs in. And so we do have fast wind flow aloft, and it will be warm and moist here, at least by December standards. So things could get more active here as we get to Thursday afternoon and Thursday night before this system lifts out. And there may be some more severe weather as well in another round behind this. Here's a look at the projected radar. You can see the heavy rain across northeast Texas during the day today, and scattered showers and storms will set up shop here in places like Manor, Texas, College Station, Caldwell, those areas, east side of San Antonio, all the way to just north of Houston tonight. Lots of rain in this area here we need to be focused on. Palestine, Texas, all the way over to about Shreveport. We do have that threat for a few heavier storms. And Christmas morning is going to be pretty wet in southeast Texas as well. I don't think we're talking a lot of severe weather, but we do need to be mindful that there will be some early morning thunder boomers there across parts of southeast Texas. Now, during the day into the evening, it's pretty quiet. We're waiting on the next piece of energy to roll out, and you'll see things start getting a little bit friskier as we get to about 5 o'clock in the afternoon or evening here on Thursday. Starting off here just to the north and east of the Metroplex into southern Oklahoma, but then the area down in here is the area we're going to have to be focusing on here for the nighttime hours Thursday, with there being a little bit of a tornado threat and some damaging wind threat as well. The tornado parameters aren't great here. You'll see they're kind of marginal for the night tonight. Then they back off for tomorrow. This is mainly wind shear, by the way. But you'll see here Thursday, the potential for a few tornadoes does exist here, just north and west of Houston, mainly towards College Station, Huntsville, maybe all the way up to Palestine, Texas, and possibly even Tyler, Texas here. And eventually that threat shifts east and diminishes as the night wears on. So we do have a marginal risk later today into tonight across East Texas, and that's mainly a wind threat, not really a tornado threat. There could be some hail as well. Tomorrow should be quieter. And then on Christmas Day, we do have a slight risk in places just to the east of the triangle here, or basically the triangle on east. So Waco, Longview, Lufkin, College Station, Houston, basically the I-45 corridor could be under the gun. That even shifts into northwestern Louisiana in the nighttime hours Thursday night. So if you're in these areas, just be mindful that we could see a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch and probably some warnings as well. And obviously, the details still do need to be ironed out a little bit as we chase some of these features across, but this could be a pretty active evening across parts of East Texas. So let's talk about the longer range. We're talking about severe weather now in December. And again, if you're in the south, that's nothing unusual. But we're also talking mild temperatures in the east, courtesy of this big ridge that sets up here. That is going to start to transition, though, into a more unsettled and chillier pattern here. And it's not exactly an extreme winter pattern here at the end of the year. But as we get into January, you'll see more cold and more troughiness beginning to take over here as the mild air is gone by the first full week of the month of January. And you'll see here in the longer range, that cold gets reinforced here. It's west-based to start the year. You can kind of see at least the plains and in the interior of the west. Yes, we'll have a trough in the east, but as we get past that here towards about the 10th and beyond, now we're locked into a period of more extended cold. And you can see here, this is going to be a little bit more favorable for winter storm potential as well across the Midwest, maybe parts of the Southeast and the South Central states, and obviously the East Coast as well. As we get later into January, eventually the cold does retreat. We get into a January thaw, but the transition period is often one where, as we're going from cold to warm, is when some of the biggest storms can be produced. So I'm not going to promise any specific day yet, but the timeline we're kind of looking at here is right around MLK Day, around the 20th of January, for that to potentially happen. The Arctic oscillation is positive now, but it goes negative and stays there for the majority of January through about the 20th to the 25th. And that means we are going to have cold air on this side of the globe. Looking at the Eastern Pacific oscillation, right now it's positive, meaning mild Pacific air takes over. It transitions to negative, though, in January and remains negative through about the middle of the month, and then gradually starts to come back up. But with the cold air in place, remember this, if we do have more of a Pacific jet coming into the colder air, that also increases our chance for wintry weather farther south. We get more moisture in play, and instead of the cold, dry air that comes down, we start to see storms coming up into that cold air. So that's something we do need to watch. Looking at the NAO, the North Atlantic oscillation, it's positive, which means storms progress quickly and move out. When it goes negative, that's when a block sets up off the East Coast, in Greenland in particular, and storms have more of a chance to get stuck or at least move more slowly up the East Coast. Now, a negative NAO doesn't necessarily mean we're talking winter storm after winter storm, but as we transition from negative to positive, and that time frame looks like it's somewhere between the 15th and about the 25th of January, those can often be the times when a big East Coast storm may set up. So that's the time frame we're going to have to watch. And right now, nothing's ever certain. This is 3-4 weeks away, but certainly something we have to watch. The other thing to watch is the PNA. And when that's positive, cold air comes down into the southeast. You'll see it actually is going to go negative here for the beginning of January, meaning it's cold and dry. It's not, winter storm after winter storm in the south, at least not with this. Now, if that does go back to positive, which there's some potential for that to happen, then we have a better chance of seeing something in the south. But right now, it's not something guaranteed, just something we have to watch. So here's how temperatures look in the longer range. It's warming up here for the rest of the month, then turning colder very quickly and very suddenly here at the beginning of the month of January, especially around the 3rd or 4th. And you'll see that cold continues to intensify. Our averages come down in January. In fact, the coldest time of year for many of us in the U.S. and Canada is the second half of January, because there's a lag between the shortest day and the coldest temperatures. It takes about a month or two. So averages are coming down, but so are the departures from average, meaning it's even colder. And you can see it's based in the west here for the first full weekend and then the first full week of January. But then it does slide east here. And by the second full weekend of January and beyond, it's a cold pattern for much of us here in the country. There will be a January thaw at some point. Tough to say when, but you'll see the east is still below average right on into the month of February, while the south does warm back up, meaning maybe more severe weather potential at that point. Here's a look at snow potential, and this is something we just look at trends. We don't promise anything because it's taking an average of every potential solution, but you'll see here in January things start to look a little bit better for eastern Canada and the Northeast for snow potential. Then those potentials come down, or they increase farther south, I should say, around the 10th or so of January. And take a look at this. We're still seeing it slide down. And again, this is not to get you all excited on the Gulf Coast, but at least something might be showing a potential for something. Hence, the average is above zero, but it's not a 0% chance, but it's a non-zero chance, but it's not great. But you will see the purples indicating there's more action in the Great Lakes and in parts of the Northeast here. And by the way, heading into February, it just doesn't go away. There's still going to be chances for storms. In fact, February is often the snowiest time of year for the Northeast. So something to keep in mind here. And this is just one run of the control. This shows the storm that's leaving. You'll see we'll have some potential for snow in New England here to start the new year, but take a look at what's coming beyond it. Some better chances around the Great Lakes and the Northeast for the second and third week of January. And yes, there's some potential down south here. Don't get super excited, but this is a better chance we've seen the last couple of winters. So, we'll have something to hang our hat on here. But again, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, just that the pattern is going to be riper for some wintry weather farther down. And that chance continues into February across the Mid-Atlantic region and in parts of the Southwest as well. So more to come after the holidays on that. I will be off tomorrow and probably off for the rest of this week as I travel to see my family. I hope you all are getting some travel in as well, and I hope everybody's healthy and safe this holiday season. I want to thank you for your time and your support over these 2 years that I've been online, and I want to wish you all some joy in your life. Isaiah 9:6 says that for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. I hope that Jesus brings you joy and peace this holiday season. And if you have any prayer requests, please do not be bashful. I'm happy to pray for you with my time away here with family, because I truly believe that God is great and that he will bless you. And the more we ask, the more he will give. I hope you all have a great day and a great Christmas, and we'll talk soon. God bless you.